Hey guys, I just got back from the first of my two expeditions this weekend and it went better than I expected. So rather than wait until Monday to do one video on both, I'm going to jump right into what I just picked up now. So yesterday afternoon I got an email from a friend saying, hey, I saw something on Craigslist with a guy selling 6 1940s TVs. My first reaction was, oh no, I wish you hadn't found this listing because I'm already going Sunday to look at some stuff. I don't need any more stuff. I don't even want to look at what this guy has. But of course I had to, and I immediately recognized some of the sets. They were close by. He seemed like a very motivated seller. He said he wanted an offer on all 6. He wanted them gone by next week. So I figured I better go take a look. So I arranged for a visit the very next day, and I drove out there, and my friend and I just got back. It turns out that he didn't just have 6 TVs for sale, he had a whole basement full of stuff for sale. But I restrained myself. Now, out of the 6 sets, I really just wanted 2. And those 2 are up inside. I'll show you them in a bit. But he really wanted to sell all 6, so the haggling was kind of amusing. I said, okay, I'll give you $60 for 2 sets. And he said, how about I give you 3 sets for $40? So we kind of did the inverse haggling. He wanted to give me more for less money. I wanted less for more money. But, of course, I took the deal of 3 sets for $40. And this is the 3rd set. This is the set that I actually didn't want to take. And my first thought was, okay, I'll just take a picture tube out, scrap out the chassis, whatever. But, as is often the case, once I got the set home, got it in good lighting, dusted it off, it actually looks really nice, and now I'm torn because it's a pretty cool set, I think. So I'll probably put it into storage, or at least try to give it a good home or something, or try to restore it myself. But I'm not going to scrap it, that's for sure. That's assuming the picture tube is good anyways. So what is this? Well, this is a Philco. I'm pretty sure it's a 16-inch set, and it's from 1950. I first thought it was from 51 because I've got a couple Philcos from 1950, and they don't look quite like this. They've got a single chassis, whereas this has 2 split chassis. So I thought this might be a little bit later. It's also got a metal cone picture tube, whereas my others have all glass. But no, he had a photocopy of the Sams. I think it's still inside the cabinet. Take a look in a moment. It's a metal cabinet and a metal picture tube, all to save weight and save costs. And this is like faux printing, but it's in darn good shape. A Philco logo down here and printing for the various controls. It looks like we're just missing the channel selector, but I've seen this type of knob before. I had no idea it was Philco. I think I might have some of these, so I might be in luck. He was more of a radio guy than a TV guy, but he had kind of accumulated these over the years, and he said that he powered them all up recently, and they all seem to have some life left. So I just took his word for it. Alright, I'll see if I can turn this around and show you guys what's inside. I didn't find the whole Sams inside the cabinet, but at least I got one page, and that has a model number. It's a 50T1600 or one of these other 3. The 50 means 1950, and the 16 means 16-inch. And the other numbers are just cabinet variations, I think. Oh, hey. It's the missing... no, say it's the missing knob, but no, this actually fell off of another set. I don't think it's right for this set. But anyways, here's what I meant by split chassis. One chassis on this side, and one on this side. So this, I believe, is the power supply, vertical and horizontal sweep outputs, whereas this is the tuner and the IF. I'd read about these online. Other guys have restored them and seem to think that they were really high quality. Oh, here's the rest of the Sams, I think. Alright, and there we go. Here's the cover page. So this is a version, looks like it has a wood cabinet, but otherwise I think they're all the same. Now, what I was just checking on, something I had suspected when we got this, is that this is not a metal cone picture tube. Every 16-inch set I've ever had my hands on or checked out, they were all metal cone, like 16 GP4s, 16 EP4s. But when we picked this set up, I was tapping this, and that sure didn't seem like metal cone to me. And then I noticed it's got a high voltage cap on it. So I'm pretty darn sure this is an all-glass 16-inch CRT, which are a lot heavier, but also a lot nicer because you don't have that huge shock potential with the big charged metal cone. And they don't have that problem with the glass metal interface where you can lose vacuum. So I really hope that this CRT is good. No back, but otherwise all appears to be there and in decent condition. And like I said, what the heck, I got 3 sets for 40 bucks. So who am I to complain? Even if the picture tube is bad, still plenty of good parts in there. Alright, so this is one of the 3 sets. Now I'm going to go up inside and continue on with the rest of what I picked up. But before I do that, it just occurred to me I'm holding the schematic in my hand. Why don't we see what picture tube it uses? And indeed, it's a 16LP4, which is an all-glass picture tube. Also, notice this rectifier configuration. Kind of amusing. It's 3 5Y3s all wired in parallel. I used to sing a big old 5U4 rather than 3 lower power rectifiers in parallel like that. Okay, I'm inside now on the back porch, and here is another set I picked up. Probably looks familiar to a lot of you guys. It's an Admiral 19A11 7-inch Bakelite set. Or so I thought. It's actually a slightly different model, but it certainly looks the same as a 19A11 externally. At first I thought it was in decent condition, other than some knobs being incorrect. But then I took a look at this side, and there was a chunk missing and a crack running along the side. And during transportation, a bigger chunk broke loose. So, not so great. I think that I still have the chunk. It's inside the cabinet somewhere. I could glue that up. Probably buff this out. Not too bad. Otherwise, I'll use it for spare parts to get my other 2 sets working. I have a 19A11 and a 19A12. But it turns out this is actually a 17T1. I think this is from a year later than the 19A11. I don't know what the differences are. It sure looks the same to me. It broke off right where the label was. Find that piece. I'm not sure where it went. I hope the picture tube's good. 17 JP4 picture tube. So if nothing else, it should be good for spare parts. Maybe if I can patch the cabinet up to be halfway respectable, I'll restore the whole set. I just pulled out some service info, but it is not for this set. I wish you had one of these. It's an ATS30. I didn't realize it was close enough to the 630TS that they actually combined the service info, because the ATS30 was from 48, 2 years later than the 630TS, and I thought that they would have updated the design by then, but apparently not. Alright, well, anyways, that has nothing to do with any of the sets I got today. And finally, the last of the 3 sets. This is the one I really wanted. This is the one that caught my eye in Craigslist. This is what really motivated me to go out there. This is a Motorola VK106M. It's one of their earliest sets. The tabletop version, I think it's the 105, is really rather famous. Looks something like that. It has a step design, very collectible, very desirable. I'd love to get one, but I also like this console version a lot too. Here's a better look at it. Now, when I first saw the service info in the pictures, I wasn't so sure about this veneer. I thought this might be a photo finish like they used on some of their other sets. But no, that is real veneer. So I think this will clean up real nice. Fortunately, a little chomp taken out there, but otherwise, it's in decent condition. Just some finish loss here and there. All the knobs are gone. Decal's a bit worn off. This is in okay condition. Plastic, Golden View, Motorola. It's a 10-inch set. Fairly decent design. Not quite as good as, say, an RCA630TS or Motorola 30A1, but it's pretty good. It's not like their later sets that use transformerless designs. This is actually a pretty robust design. Full transformer, dual rectifiers for the high and low voltage, and you got 4 stages of video IF and so on. It should be a pretty solid performer. Only thing it's missing, I was hoping it would have, is it does not have DC restoration. Oh well, that gives you better contrast when there's a lot of dynamic changes to the video. But otherwise, anyways, it's pretty darn nice set, I think. I haven't taken too close of a look at it yet, though. Hoping I can find a good picture of it too, because I don't really know what kind of knobs it has. I've got plenty of Motorola knobs, but these look different, so it could be fun to track down. Also, if I refinish this, and I do plan on refinishing it, I'll have to reproduce those decals somehow. I think they're pretty generic though, just brightness, contrast, horizontal, vertical, and so on. Alright, let's take a closer look inside this guy. Alright, here's a closer look inside. Right away I can see the date, October 25th, 1948. It's a TS-9 version C chassis. You can see somebody's working on it, put lots of notes all over it. And a little bit of work done. You can see it's some new electrolytics down in there. Don't know about any recapping underneath. Typical Motorola, there is no high voltage cage. More commonly, they put the flyback and high voltage rectifier underneath the chassis and let the chassis serve as a shield. In this case, it's just sitting right out here. 10 BP4 picture tube, coating's flaking off. Hopefully it's still good. Big hole in the chassis there. Hopefully that's normal and no cause for concern. I don't see any labels inside here. I want to take a look at the speakers. It's something I noticed earlier, is that I think that speaker on the right's the original. The cone's just gone. And the one on the right's a replacement. So I imagine the one on the right, I can tell it's a field coil speaker. It's probably used as a filter choke in the power supply, and they want to keep it in the circuit to still service the filter choke. And this speaker's actually producing the sound, so maybe that'll be a chance to try reconing a speaker or send it out to get reconed. Have to see what kind of condition it's in. Otherwise, well, let's see. Down under here, can I see underneath the chassis? Nope. Protective grill. Alright, well, I'll save that for another day, because there's some other stuff I'd like to show you guys. So right away when we went into this guy's place and went down into the basement, we saw all kinds of goodies. Turns out he had a lot more for sale than just these TVs. He had been collecting radios for years. He said at one point, I think he had as many as 500. And some years ago, he pared it down to about 150, and now he wanted to get it down to just a few ham radios. He also had some pachinko games, some pinball games, some video arcade games, a whole room full of tubes, and all kinds of stuff. Here are a few photos I snapped while I was there. Now, if I had had the funds, a large vehicle, unlimited storage space, I could have walked out of there with a lot of stuff. Some of the nicest, coolest stuff was already sold, but he had some interesting things, including a Fried Eisman educator radio like mine, but his is in much, much better condition. A Mohawk one-dial radio, similar to that giant Mohawk cabinet I picked up last year. And a Radiola 17 and a Radiola 60 and just all kinds of cool stuff. But I figured, if nothing else, I got to take advantage of the tube room. And I asked him, what are you looking for the tubes? And he says, well, let me know what you want. And I said, well, what I want depends on how much you want for the tubes. So I just picked out, at first, some stuff that I genuinely needed, and then some stuff that I thought just might be nice to have. And he ended up being very reasonable with what he wanted. I didn't want to be greedy, though, and grab all of his tubes, so I just got a pretty nice mix anyways. So first off, I grabbed some 37s and some 3944s for the Philco 15DX. A few like this Philco Type 44 Globe. Because remember, my goal is to get a full set of good Globe tubes for that radio. Somewhere's in here. Also got another Globe Type 42. Here we go. It's not a Philco though, it's a Sylvania, but it is a Globe 42. He said as far as he knows, they've all been tested, they're all good. I just went ahead and pulled all the tubes out so we can take a better look at exactly what I got. So, turns out there were a couple Type 42 Globes. Both made by Sylvania, so that's cool. And this guy caught my eye. It's made for a power adapter, I believe, or battery eliminator. This is a type of early rectifier. What I thought was cool is that the tube element inside actually has Raytheon stamped onto it. Alright, so I also got a couple 6A8s, like a lot of my Philcos need. And like I said, some 39/44s, 37s. I think this is a Type 3944 as well. Yep, 44. I say 39/44 because they're kind of interchangeable. So sometimes they're labeled as both. Got an 83 in case I ever need another one for my Hickok 600 tube tester. This is a brand new Radiotron UX245 that I will use in my WR8 whenever I get it done. Although I already have two boxed UX245s, they aren't matched, they're slightly different styles. But this matches one of the ones I've got, so I should have a matched pair of output tubes. They're both brand new. Let's see, this is an 843. I've got other 843s and I've certainly seen them before, but I had no idea there was a Globe version of it. So it's a transmitting tube. There's a Type 27. A bunch of my radios use these. And there's a Type 47. I've got one or two radios that use this for the output tube, so I thought it'd be nice to have. And then I grabbed all the, or most of the Type 80 Globes he had, so I got 4 of these. And then these guys, some of you may recognize these for what they are. They're very nice tubes to have, especially if you actually need them. These are Type 250s or 350s. These are power output tubes. A bit more oomph than a Type 45. Got a UX250, a CX350, and another UX250. I've seen a little bit of use. Don't know if they're good, but I will certainly test them and keep my fingers crossed. And finally this. My friend spotted this on the shelf right away. It's the only picture tube he had. But this isn't your typical picture tube. This is used for a projection set, where this would be mounted inside the set. I think they're usually pointing down into a convex mirror that would be reflected back up and onto a large screen, like 25 inch diagonal screen. This one in particular is a bit of an oddball though, because I think only Philco use these. It's a Philco tube, and the number is a little odd. It's a TP400A. I do not have a projection set, and the sets that use these are huge, so I don't think I'll be getting one anytime soon, but I thought it'd be nice to have, especially if it actually tests good. And finally, while I was hunting around through all the tubes, my friend was looking at some other stuff, and he spied this microphone he thought was kind of interesting looking, so he grabbed that. I know nothing about it except I'm guessing it's from the 30s. Seems to be cast iron on the top and the base. This thing says sound scriber with various positions and this type of connector on the end. Don't know if it's any good or not. Don't know anything about it, but I thought maybe one of you guys could clue me in. It's also got a plug on the side. It looks like you could plug this right into, but that doesn't seem particularly useful, so I'm sure there's some other use for that plug. And then finally these meters. He just kind of threw these in at the end. He thought that we might find them interesting. So this is Bakelite meter, Weston Electric Instrument Corp. I think this is basically a multimeter. I think you can do, well, volts AC. Maybe it's not a multimeter. Maybe it is just various AC volt ranges. Not really sure. But he says he believes it's good. Do a little research on that. And then this, which we all think is really, really cool. Also very old. I think the seller thought it was from the teens, maybe 20s. It's made by Hoyt Electrical Instrument Works, Penacook, New Hampshire. Very well made. Nice hardwood box. And I believe all of this is machined brass, it's silver plated. It appears to be an amp meter and a voltmeter. So we got some stuff stamped on here. 30 volts, 3 volts plus, and 30 amps, 3 amps, and 90 millivolts maybe. It's also stamped around the outside. 3 amperes, 30 amperes, 3 volts. Don't know if it's any good or not, but the needle does seem to move. This cover also comes off fairly easily. I'm not sure if you were meant to open this up and do anything to it. Clearly the needle's off, and there's no zeroing control on it, so I'm not quite sure how it should get zeroed, but just touch it briefly, it does move. So I think I'll finish this video off by grabbing a screwdriver, popping off the back, and let's see what's inside here. Alright, I removed the screws, so let's see what's in here. Well, I'm quite sure what to make of this. That is probably the 30 amp meter shunt. The rest of this, not sure. Seems to be maybe something down in here, maybe some resistive elements, I'm not sure. Or maybe just some of this wire's resistive wire. Don't really know. See, there's some remains of writing on here. So, to do some research online, I'll post some photos and a little Google search, see what I can find out about this. Even if it never is made operational, I think it's still a rather nifty looking thing to have. Alright, so that is going to be it for expedition number 1. And hopefully expedition number 2 will go just as well.